Hello.
Hello everybody. We're here for the third session of the Tactical Urbanism online workshop,
We are Etel Barahona and Paco Gonzalez.
and this online workshop is part of the network design process led by Ecosystem Urbano for Storterget in Hammer. You can follow all the updates in @DreamHammer or following the hashtag UrbTact.
So let's start.
We're going to use the full screen now, as always, to start the open lecture.
You can see.
Yes. You can minimize this.
Okay.
Well, for the open lecture, we're going to use the same system that we have been using in the past two sessions. We're going to talk about the concepts, about some case studies, to have some examples and discuss why we consider these case studies as an example of tactical urbanism, and then we're going to open the camera to have some conversation with all of you.
And the first slide is a sketch from Sara Armento. She told us the last workshop session that she believed that the store target needs a place to look over the buildings and look to the landscape. And here's her sketch shared in the Dreamhammer's blog at Tactical Urbanism category.
We wanted to show this project because it's a clear example of what we call tactical urbanism, but most network design, because Sarah has shared with us her project. Some people has made some comments. In the past session of the Hangout, we have talked about it. So it's what open network design is all about.
And here's a post by Silvia Giuliani in which she reflects about to build a square we need to build a community first. A community is the foundation of a square. This is a quote from Noah, I think, and she has referred a post from Noah and the livings that Noah has shared in the Dreamhammer's blog, and we think this kind of connection between who is there and who is here or over there in somewhere in Europe.
This is an example shared by our open participant Matthias Lecoq. We thought it's interesting also because Matthias is not a traditional participant, so the innovation is not only in the projects he shared, but in the participation of Matthias itself. We're going to talk deeper about it later, but you can follow all his posts and the kind of participation he's doing in the blog of Dreamhammer.
And yesterday, Francesco, I think he asked Etel and me that if we know a project from Roof Farms and on Twitter, and we have talked about this, sharing links, and I think it's a kind of way to show how network design is going on here on this workshop.
By the way, we just wanted to say that Matthias is not following the online sessions because he has low connection to the Wi-Fi because he's in the forest. So it's also really, really interesting how we can find ways to make people participate, trying to avoid this kind of limitations.
And this project shared by the student of Architecture University of Limerick try to explain that we have two groups from two universities, one in Limerick and one in Milano, And we think there's another scale from network design here, because students are a community and they have a node that is sharing their post with us in the blog through Fabricio and Javier. So we think these 5 slides can show us how it's going on,
how the process is going, is developing in the network design sessions.
So today we are going to speak about documentation and archive and open peer-to-peer design and network design. We are going to share, as always, 5 or 4 examples from each of one category. And we are going to start right now with this sentence: records and archives are at the heart of the information society.
Why this sentence is so important? Because in few words you can describe the importance of archiving. If we live in information society but we don't have curators or people who make the archive, the information can be overload for us, and we can feel that it's almost impossible to handle all this information. So the importance of archives and content curators and people who is doing this work, it's really useful.
In example, Sara Armento has shown us, or show everybody, these photos from Amar, and I think it's a good way to think that network design is an iterative process, because this image, we can look at them at the booklet or at the blog, but she has remixed and reshared the content again, and we can feel we can learn different things from this post than the one before.
This is a quote by George Orwell in his well-known book 1984, that I think we all know, that talks about surveillance mostly all of the time. But he remarks here the importance of archive and documentation, and how the links to the past can give us some control in the present and for the future. So we think it's an interesting quote, maybe related with science fiction or so, but well, reality is almost like science fiction.
Here's the Peltry from Etel Barahona. She has researched the Dream Amar connection, and we can see all the people of the workshop related, and if we click on that pearls, we can find and how the process was going on. So the thing to be shown here is that we have to put some work and some time to documenting and creating an archive of all our process and share them to free the information behind that archives. Do you want to?
Yes,
share?
well, what I just wanted to do here with this poetry is to have separate the post blogs of every one of you, and also for you the bibliography and case studies we are using. So I think it's a good way to have all the information archived, and everybody can, it's an open link, I will share it in the chat now. Everybody can surf through all the information, and it's easier to get to the projects and to the recommendations, bibliography, etc. Next one, it's yours.
No, it's yours.
It's mine. Okay. Living as a form. This is one of the case study we are sharing today. It was an exhibition about spatial practices that were socially engaged. So we think it's related not only as an archive example, but is deeply related with tactical urbanism. We have here 350 projects, a complete database of here in the website. You can navigate through the projects, spell how, who made it, and why.
Internet too slot for quality or avoid share.
Now okay. It's okay now, Francesco? Yes, it is working now. I can see the slide. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, sorry. We think if we have tried in Paco's office, at my studio with different computers, we may think that it's a live stream problem, maybe, but well, who knows? Okay, so let's go.
Let's go.
I don't know where you stop listening, but this project is a database of more than 350 socially engaged projects. So we think it's important as an archive because they are documented by date, by place, by developers. So when you go through the website, you can see each project. You can click on the small image and you can get all the information about each project, and you can relate one project with each other. So it's an interesting work about archiving, but also about tactical urbanism projects. We will share the we will share all the links later with the presentations, and you can discover it. And they are also archived in the Perl tree, in the case studies Perl.
We have a lot of 5 examples about archiving, and we was spoken before we start, and I think a good point to reflect about this is what is going on. There's an exhibition that is live in as form, and somebody has made a call, and participants can share their projects, and at the same time someone has been curating the selection of all these more than 50 projects. So at the end we can learn about these projects because someone has rearranged that, and someone other has shared the reasons behind that project, the location, the year, and we have to think about what taxonomies and categories has to be put on this kind of projects to order the information. Is this good?
Yes, it is good now.
So
this is just a picture to show you how the graphic material opens when you click on them, so you can see high quality images to a better understanding of each project.
And actions, what you can do with a city. It's another exhibition, but the call is
the Canadian Center for Architecture,
and it was looking to make a sort of definition with actions, urban actions, and experimental interactions in the city, and how can people can get into actions and participate. Sorry.
This is a really interesting project, but because all the 99 projects archived here have been shared by a call for submissions, and people has participate sharing the projects they know, and the CCA make the work of archiving them, relating by tags, and making the exhibition. Now there's also a book with all these actions, so it's an interesting project about archiving and sharing documentation.
So we can see here that there's 9 actions behind this category, and it's related with some computer. You can see the icon over the title of the post, and here at the right you can see a sidebar. It's very important how to show this documenting and archiving things. In example, this week we can see a Dreamhammer blog that they have rearranged the information to make it
easier the navigation,
to navigate.
yes.
And also we can look at this, that
yes, you can see in this image, when you open a project, you can see the kind of tags, but in a graphic way. Here you can see at the left the building, the paper, and in the other side, project about, oh, no sound again, sorry. Here we are, ya estamos. Okay, well, we were just showing how the information looks when you open each project in the Tools for Action call, so you can have examples and take inspiration for new projects you want to develop in the city.
It's curious, but you picked that image on that project because it's Santiago Silvera?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go.
This other project is the Situationist International Online Archive. We want to show with this project that the importance of this kind of documentation, because the Situationist International, we all know that started in the 60s, more well known for May of the 68 and the Derivas, etc. So there is a lot of old documentation going around there that may be lost, or it's difficult to get because the books are too old that you cannot find them in libraries. There are lots of videos, but one in one web, one in another, like a random selection of material. So these people make the job of archive and documentate all this material, and even update all the links, because we can see including a post-situationist archive. So it's interesting how we can learn from history, but then trying to give a storytelling approach to all the website and make a chronology about all the information of this group.
So this kind of project is not only archiving, but at the same time, like Ethel said, made a timeline about what was going on when this history has been
happening in Paris.
So I think there's it's related with the Sarmiento post, and when we have spoken about how storytelling means, that's a way to share storytelling in a really simple way, that you can see all the years, what was published, what are the links between one text or another, and at the end you can see the really information behind this archive. You can see the image from this time, the text, all this stuff.
Yes, no, some of this material was not even published in books, but in magazines. So we can have one article from the magazine Utopie, one other for the International Situationist, and it will be a great effort trying to get to all this information. But with this archive, we can read all the material in just one website. So the importance of this kind of website is really huge. This is just just a divertimento, this image, because we love it.
The next project is related with this workshop at Dream Hammers, and the past week.
Mm-hmm.
The past week was going on New York City, and it is the Tactical Urbanism Salon, where hackers and urban practitioners from New York has been shared the projects in a huge meeting, and at the same time it was going on the Occupy Wall Street, and we have see at the Twitter and so on website that they have been participating there in designing the squares from New York. So here we are showing you that the start of or the beginning of a archiving project. You can see this archive from Tumblr website from Tactical Urbanism Salon, and in the very beginnings you can see that it's a very huge path to start our work, because you can see only 15 images, but keep going on and keep working, because that kind of stuff can improve the meetings and the relation between some urban practitioners and groups, communities, collectives, and behind that is a great effort to share what is going on in real time, and you can in the next future you will see this like an archive.
Yes, it's interesting about this project, not only the archiving approach, but how they are related with physical actions. And now that, as Paco said, with Occupy Wall Street, they were in New York, researching, giving lectures, so people can really understand how useful are these tactical urbanism experience.
So,
well,
okay.
Space Collective, it's another website. It has, maybe we can think, nothing to do with architecture and urbanism, but it's most like a scientific, philosophical archive. But it's really interesting for two things, because we think that science and philosophy are deeply related with our practice, but also they have do a big effort in the way they organize the information. You can surf through the new post, but you can also relate by authors, or you can also find them related as an image archive. So when you start surfing through this page, you can get lost and procrastinate for hours, but but if you also need a limited information and go directly to find a project, it's also easy to find. So it's really interesting the way, and yes, like music covery. It's really easy to navigate on the page, but also it's wonderful. It's a good experience, so people can spend their time just enjoying and learning, and it is also an important approach of this kind of projects.
We are trying to point out that archiving looks like a very boring thing and a very boring work, but at the end you can rearrange and make things in a better way than thinking about an old archive in a library or something like that with all that papers. That it's fantastic, but at the same time you can have to facilitate people to get into the information. So I think
we're going live now. Before going to the the serendipic approach, I love the word serendipity. Sarah, thank you for bringing it here. Sometimes just surfing and going from one link to another and having this serendipic experience, you can learn really a lot, because you can find connections that you wasn't even imagining. And yes, sometimes we put ourselves limits when trying to discover just things related with the same topic, with the same time, with the same tag. And with this kind of navigation, we can also learn so much more and discover relationships that we cannot imagine that were there.
So if we don't have any questions,
somebody wants to comment something more? How the experience of archiving has been useful for you in the blog of Dreamhammer, for example? Or we can talk about it in the Hangout later also if you want.
Well.
No more comments?
No comments.
Okay, let's go to the second part.
So, screen... Oh,
yes,
we have a comment. The only problem is the never-ending process.
Yes, it is, Sylvia. That's the importance of both approaches. With an organized approach, with tags related by year, by author, etc., it's easier to get information when you need it. But also when you have a little bit of time and you want to learn from new projects, it's also interesting just going through these new paths or new ways of discovering material. I think it all depends on the moment and on the kind of information you need. No?
Hey, Sylvia.
Okay, well, let's go to the second part.
Let's go.
Second part is about open peer-to-peer design and network design.
Okay, so
your favorite.
My favorite.
Yes.
So we are starting with Napster. We can see here an image from 2001.
11 years ago? No, 10 years ago.
10 years ago. And this kind of technology has changed us a lot, because the way we were sharing music in the last 30 years has been transforming us, and at the same time it has transformed the way we are working. So when we share music from peer to peer, we are working and sharing things, and this way of we are going to explain with some case studies. For example, Domus has a publication where had commented the...
Yes, Domus were starting an issue about open source architecture, so the chief editor, Josep Grima, decided to call Carlos Ratti from the Sense Label of the MIT and ask him for an op-ed, an editorial for the magazine. So Carlos just answered that he wanted to do it with the same philosophy as the magazine, in an open source way. So he opened a wiki, invite some other writers, more than 16 writers and started all of them writing together. And now when we see the physical magazine or also in the website, you can see this op-ed written by 16 persons at the same time, and it's so coherent and so interesting that you don't even realize that we're a lot of minds thinking at the same time. It's a perfect example of how you can approach a project by different persons living in different countries but working together for one project. It's a wonderful example.
And sorry, I'm going to. Okay, so using one image from Christian Hell's post, this kind of network culture is behind this kind of meeting where people is working on, I think, music or drawing, well, I don't know, at the same time. You can easy have meetings and work together because technologies can have been facilitating to get into contact with other people. Behind that, there's a lot of work of coordinating and trying to put efforts in one way. So that's why we choose storytelling and narrative, to show you that there's an easy way to try to this works.
To try to coordinate all this work. Yes.
And sorry.
What happened?
No.
No.
Doesn't matter. Open Architecture Network. Well, this is a kind of project that can change the world, and I think it has to change the profession of architecture. This is a website where you can share your projects and you can share your solutions with a lot of people. What this website has a huge very great TED TED Talk. Sorry, how can I say it in English?
TED Talk. TED, yes.
And it shows this TED Talk how this starts behind sharing cheap solutions for third world, and then grow ups in a very huge momentum. You can see that there's more than 4,000 results behind projects, and you can see at the right of the website you can see education facility, residential, landscape. It's a very huge project, and this can be done only by a school or only by an institution. It has to be done by a collective where people get involved and participate, and with a community that is maintaining the technology behind this and coordinating. It's like an architecture Wikipedia.
Yes, this project was started by Architecture for Humanity, but now it's a parallel project because they decided to give it its own life, and it's growing really faster because all the participative approach. People upload projects, remix it, download it to build in some communities. But when they are building, if they notice it needs some changes to improve the quality, they then upload the changes. So it's a very live project, really live.
Sorry.
Go on. Well, the Open Structures project, it's, by the way, its philosophy, it's really close to the Open Architecture Network. It's smaller because it started just a few years ago. and it's based more in engineering and small pieces to share. Why they decide to do that? Because they are engineers, but they were realizing that sometimes you need to build your own dispositive or artifacts to solve your own problems. And sometimes it's expensive to go to a specialized shop and trying to look for this specific piece that you need to make your truck or your machine to work well. So they decide to start this open web, and it's also with a collaborative approach. Reminds us the structure of the wiki house we have talked before in the other session. I think was the previous session or the first one. The wiki house.
We are always talking about wiki house.
Yes. So the philosophy, as you can see in this image, is the same. That everybody can put together all the material. There are designers, the customer, the architect. So everybody can give a part of the project. The customers can say what he needs. The designer can make a design for this need, and they are all sharing this structure.
This diagram reminds us the start of the last keynote, where we have spoken about network design with some diagrams. I think the key of this project is that they share a modular scheme of networking. In open architecture, you can share all the entire project, and you have to look into all these projects to get information from that. Here you can look at two pieces and what projects are related to these pieces, and it's a different kind of network design behind one project or the other.
Yes.
For example, we see here
a small truck.
I don't know how to name this, but
it's a small truck that the customer needs more space to transport their needs, and he has no money to buy a bigger truck. So with all this community, they design all together how to make bigger the back part of the truck. And what is interesting is that there were so many people working at the same time, and now in the web you can find the instructions to do it by yourself in case you need a similar artifact.
So
instructions are really simple, like an IKEA yes, like an IKEA manual philosophy. So it's really easy to understand for everybody. And this is also a good approach, because sometimes we architects are so complicated when describing things or structures, and this is a good way to transmit what you are thinking.
Again, we are talking about storytelling.
Yes.
And open source ecology. This project is a network of farmers and engineers that they have been working on an open source, low cost and high performance text to work on farms. All of this is do-it-yourself machines, and there's behind this project there's a good philosophy. I think that always we are talking about how to make farms, or how to improve how can I say, how to delay famine from our world. And we are architects and engineers, and we haven't thought about this in the way open source ecology has made. They has think, okay, can we lend to people cheap machines to work on the farms. So they have been constructed a wiki that is a very techy way to work. It's not easy, but they are engineers and they have made an archive working in a networking place like a wiki, and they have designed more than 4 industrial machines to farming. It's very crazy because there's no how can I say patente? Patents.
Patents. Sí, I think.
There's no patents. Farmers can construct these machines without any
without paying the creator
and without any special techniques. And at the left bottom we can see a car. So it's very imaginative way to approach to solve big huge problems like feeding people. It's very crazy, but at the same time it's very
because
encouraging to.
If you take a closer look, there are machines for farming, but there are also the trucks for transport the food. So it's a complete the whole chain that you need from producing the food and take it to the people. It's all covered by this project, and I found interesting that you were mentioning that the wiki is as such like a techie thing, but it is also linked with the Domus text. You know, they started a wiki. Maybe sometimes it's easier to have a GDoc, a Google Doc, but what is interesting and related with all these projects is that they are so many hands working together at the same time.
So a peer-to-peer toolbox to revive your city. This is a really new project. You can take a note about it because we think it will grow. It has only 6 projects on the database now, and we wanted to show this after the all other peer-to-peer projects, because this is deeply related with the tactical urbanism, because it's using peer-to-peer and network design, but with an approach to improve the quality of life in the cities, not for making machines. Or we love the other projects about the process and how we can use that process, and this project exactly shows us the result of that process. So it's really interesting. We're going to share the link later. I think it's on the peer tree also. And now again,
storytelling again.
Storytelling again. We are very focused on this, and you can see that it's a toolbox to name your trees or talk about transport and how to improve public space to revive your city. And I think it's very important to us to point out again that at the start always it looks like it really doesn't work, but it works.
Yes.
You have to confide about this kind of projects, and you have to put your work into them, but at the end they are great results behind your efforts.
Yes, we were looking at this website, and the differences are huge within the other. Oh, no connection again. Oh.
Perfect streaming.
Yes. No, pero no hay porque mira, no se ha bajado ahí.
Mira.
No. Can you hear us now? Okay, yes, it's okay.
We really don't know what is going on, because here in the monitor it shows us perfect streaming. Okay, so let's go on.
Well, no, what we were talking about is that when we first discovered this project, it looks like let me say, like a poor project, maybe, because we start looking at it at only 6 projects. But when we research and we saw the dates, it's a wonderful project because it is all starting now, but you can see all the documentation here on the side. You can have links to the PDF of each project. You can see who had made each project and how they work together to make these results. So it's a wonderful project, and we want to follow it up to see how it develops in the future.
And from small scale to big scale, Big Apple, New York Digital. This is a very huge project from New York City, where they have been developing this project last 6 months or so on, and they have a lot of approximation. In the beginnings, they have started only with a blog,
Just like the one we showed before.
Yes, and 90 days before this start, and gathering people in networks and internet, they have been made a roadmap for all the entire city of New York. It's a network design process. It's
an archiving
process too. It's easy to understand that there's a lot of money behind it, but we think cities has to start to think about digital how can I say
digital layers of the city
as a transport, because they have gathered people in presential meetings like hackathons, or they have asked to other people a very important question at the beginning of the school terms, like what would you do to improve attendance in New York schools? And they gather tech people, but at the same time they have presented to each other with simple citizens.
Yes.
How can I say that? Here you can see computers from a Foursquare meeting, but at the end of the scene you can see people that it's really participating, and the tech and the institutional people and all inhabitants have to learn that it's okay. It doesn't matter to know what can I do, or what I will do anything on this.
Yes, no, and what you know how to do, maybe mix it up with the knowledge of the other, can give a great result.
And there's another layer that where here in Spain and some other countries from Europe, there has been a lot of problem with public Wi-Fi, and New York City has decided to give Wi-Fi free at more than 20 parks on all over the city. And here's an image that it's sent by a user of the public park to the Twitter of the New York Digital account, and they have shared it, and it's like a sticky story, because you can tell all other people to, okay, have you seen this image from this park, and
have you tried to connect yourself there? How you can use the public space for enjoyment, but also for work, for everything that you want.
And all other projects like I'm a Tree, I'm Available, Are You, to connect people with green projects at the city. So computer.
No,
What?
it's okay. It was the computer before, but now it's okay.
Thanks. And I think it's time, and we can.
Yes, we can. Well, this is another way to use public space because you can make an adoption of this small space. So citizens are the owners of the space. The message behind this leaflet is really interesting, and it's what we think that every government should do, make you feel that you're the owner of your space, so you can take care of this and you can improve the quality of public space. It's a really good way to motivate people to do that.
And people have to speak with governments,
Yes.
governors, to try to do this. And comments and questions, and we are going to.
Yes, we have a few minutes, so we can, before going to the hangout, we can try to know what do you think about all this case of study, and get ready for the hangout with your approach and your comments. Yes, Sarah, you're completely right. Most of all governments doesn't have ears to listen to people, but I think that now we are start to look and start living the change, because with all the actions that we have been living with Occupy Wall Street, Take the Square, the 15M here in Spain, even the governments haven't changed nothing, but we people are more closer and sharing our ideas, and this is the first step to tell the governments what we want. And as Francesco is saying, is in Norway there is a close relationship with people and government. It's going to be easier to get this approach.
Another planet.
Another planet, yes. Yes, that's true. Yes, Francesco, I remember we talked in the last session about this, but maybe I think it's not we cannot say it's a problem. I think it's really common that when you're living comfortable, you don't look for new strategies or new ways of living or to making any change, because people, it's really like that. When you're comfortable, you don't think in something more. So it's really interesting for all of us to try to use these inputs in our network design and try to move these people, think which kind of design or which kind of actions can they make them to feel that they want to participate. I don't know, maybe it's a good question to talk about, so all the participants can start thinking, and we can comment in the hangout how we think we can make people to participate more. I don't know, what do you think, Paco, about it?
I think it's a good point that, and I only want to try to share the. Yeah or no?
Yes. What?
To do the mix?
Mhm.
No, it doesn't
Yes. You need to build community to make people participate, yes, and that is the important input we need to understand to the projects we're going to develop or we're going to propose for Hammer.
I think it's a good idea. Yes, we have
we
have read it. I think it's a good idea to present the next slide
if we can.
Okay, so because we are talking about Dream Hammers, and today we are going to work with José Luis Vallejo from Ecosistema Urbano, who has been coordinating the preliminary urban strategy for Store Target. So if I'm okay with the information.
Can you confirm us, Francesco? that Jose Luis is going to be with us, because maybe it will be interesting to know what he think about this, about people and participation in Hammer. Yes? Okay.
So
We want to leave the open lecture with the same question, so you can start organizing your projects and documentation while we change of platform, and start thinking what will you do in the store target, and how you want Dreamhammer to be. Okay, Sarah, we will have time today to ask Jose Luis. So we will, in the hangout session of today, I think all of us will feel closer to Hammer.
And remember the methodology that we have to speak one by one. You have to mute your microphone when other people is talking. 3 minutes to talk about your selected projects or your project that you have shared on the blog. Listen and make question on the chat, and 2 minutes for answering the question. And I think no, it's not good. We are going
for the
next week. We are going to make
a new kind of open lecture.
No, how can I say to
use their projects.
See, we are going to relate all your posts and all your projects for Dreamhammer, and we are going to try to give you ideas or spin-off or what is related to our keynotes with your projects and so on, and trying to make a big remix and mash up with all this stuff, and try to let things go very crazy, and
yes.
being very creative to make Dreamhammer best.
Yes, because after the forthcoming session, we need to work on a final proposal of ideas to end the workshop. So it will be really good for us to have the hangout session now to talk about it, and I think it's okay. See you in 5 minutes.
See you.
Don't forget to go to Google Plus. Okay? Bye.
Bye. Thank you.